Hi, I'm MJ. Welcome to the Blogs4Borders video Blogburst, September 18th, 2007. And thanks for joining us as we take a whirlwind tour of illegal immigration news across these United States. In June of 1954, President Eisenhower began Operation Wetback in an effort to remove an abundance of Mexican illegal aliens from America. What many people don't know is that the first step of the operation was to remove a large number of corrupt Border Patrol brass who would have frustrated enforcement efforts. Fast forward 53 years to FBI sting operation Lively Green, an effort to smoke out corrupt public officials in the border region. So far, there have been 46 cops, prison guards, and soldiers who have pled guilty or been convicted of various charges related to the investigation, and dozens more may still face charges. It comes as no surprise, as we are talking about the government here, but this story quickly goes from bad to worse as we learn that things not only spun out of control, but also ended with a shameful cover-up from within the FBI. In October of 2002, an FBI informant and 11 recruited traffickers transported 132 pounds of cocaine from Tucson to Las Vegas. While in Sin City, these individuals hired 6 prostitutes, gang-raping one while she was passed out from alcohol and drugs, doing other things to her that are so disgusting I won't mention them on this show, and taking pictures of the whole thing. The agent in charge of this fiasco insists he did not tell the informants to get rid of the damning photos, even as he admits that he told them he did not want to see them again. The suite itself was not under surveillance, but FBI audio recordings from the next day included details of the previous night's party. The FBI withheld this information from prosecutors. Meanwhile, back in Arizona, the 3 most recent prison sentences for running drugs in the Lively Green operation went to a U.S. Army high school recruiter, a private first class, and a state corrections officer. This story certainly raises more questions than it answers. But here's the big one. If the government employees who are supposed to be rooting out corruption within the government are corrupt, and their bosses are corruptly covering up the corruption, where does the corruption end, and who's going to end it? And with all this time and energy being spent on all these layers of corruption, what about the end goal? You remember, the one that has been all but forgotten by our government in this treasonous scramble of corruption: securing our border. More and more, it seems that the old axiom is true. If you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. More and more, it seems that if American citizens want some law and border around here, it's a job that will fall upon the shoulders of American citizens. The victims. 2 rape victims and 1 attempted rape victim. The accused. Adrian Arellano, a.k.a. Andres Gomez, 29, twice deported illegal alien from Mexico. The charge. 1 count of burglary. Multiple sexual assault charges are pending results of DNA tests. The story. A serial rapist has been terrorizing women in Santa Clarita, California, long considered one of America's safest cities. He committed break-in rapes in January and March of this year and attempted a 3rd in June, but that woman was able to fight him off and provide key clues to catching him. Arellano was caught attempting to break into yet another apartment last week, and police quickly realized they had their man based on physical descriptions of the perpetrator and on his knowledge of confidential details regarding the earlier attacks. Of course, if our government had been doing its job, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of the country, these women wouldn't have been attacked and raped in America's safest city, making this crime 100% preventable. The victim. A 32-year-old Illinois woman. The accused. Carlos Martinez Lopez, 24, twice deported illegal alien from Mexico. The charges. 3 Class X felonies: aggravated criminal sexual assault, and aggravated criminal sexual abuse. The story. The victim was leaving work in St. Charles in December of 2002 when Lopez allegedly attacked her and raped her at gunpoint. Lopez was arrested in Aurora after being pulled over for a traffic violation and giving police a false name. So how did police link Lopez with the violent rape from almost 5 years ago? For starters, prosecutors recognized Lopez's distinctive neck tattoo from the rape case file. Then there was the DNA match tying him to the case. And how did Illinois come to have Lopez's DNA on file? Illinois law required him to submit a DNA sample after he was convicted of felony burglary in 2005. Having already been deported twice, Lopez snuck back into the country for a third time last year, as in 2006, the year after the felony burglary conviction. The victim expressed relief that the perpetrator had been caught. Us? Not so much. We'll breathe a sigh of relief when our government even begins to pretend that the shattered lives of American citizens are remotely as important to them as farmers having an unlimited, unfettered supply of cheap slave labor. Until then, 100% preventable. The victim, Ivan Santos of Phoenix. The accused, Demetrio Acosta Uribe, 5 times deported illegal alien from Mexico. The charges: first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, kidnapping, possession of marijuana for sale, and misconduct involving weapons. The story: 3 men in a Phoenix stash house, bound with duct tape, their heads covered with plastic. All 3 tried to get away. 2 managed to escape through a window and were found on the front lawn. The third, Ivan Santos, was not so lucky. Police say Acosta Uribe gunned him down as he attempted to flee. Andrew Thomas of the Maricopa County Attorney's Office gets it just right in this press release. This murder case is a textbook example of how wide-open borders expose the valley to violent crime. It is amazing, but sadly all too common, that a criminal suspect who had been deported from this country 5 times was back again, committing more crimes. The government's continuing failure to control our borders has made Maricopa County's residents vulnerable to the worst kinds of violence. And not just Maricopa County residents. All Americans are at risk from violent invaders due to our government's outright refusal to deal with this problem. After acknowledging the obvious, that there are instances when those who have been deported make it back here illegally, a Phoenix ICE spokesman made the ridiculous assertion that Acosta Uribe's prosecution is a good demonstration of the things that are working in immigration enforcement. Oh yeah? Tell it to Ivan Santos. Because if our government had been doing its job, getting and keeping illegal aliens out of the country, he'd be around to tell you how full of it you are. Making this crime, like all crimes committed by illegal aliens, 100% preventable. Grassroots efforts earlier this year overwhelmed Capitol Hill with phone calls, faxes, emails, and letters against Amnesty disguised as comprehensive immigration reform. But don't think your Congress critters have given up on earning a scarlet letter A for Amnesty. They're just being sneakier about it. 3 measures are being considered as part of the Defense Authorization Bill this week. 2 would increase H-1B and H-2B visas, hurting American workers. The third would attach Amendment 2237, also known as the DREAM Act. Here's a taste of why you should be concerned, courtesy of Numbers USA. It is a massive amnesty that extends to the millions of illegal aliens who entered the U.S. before the age of 16. There's no upper age limit. Any illegal alien can walk into an immigration office and declare that he is eligible. For example, a 45-year-old can claim that he illegally entered the U.S. 30 years ago at the age of 15. There is no requirement of documented proof. Once an alien files an application, any application, no matter how ridiculous, the federal government is prohibited from deporting him. Moreover, with few exceptions, federal officers are prohibited from sharing application information with another federal agency. Thus, an alien's admission that he has violated federal immigration law cannot be used against him, even if he never had any chance of qualifying for the DREAM Act amnesty in the first place. The DREAM Act allows illegal aliens to receive in-state tuition at public universities, discriminating against U.S. citizens from out of state and law-abiding foreign citizens. We urge you to read more at Numbers USA and to burn up the phone line between your house and Washington. Amnesty is not okay with the majority of Americans, but don't think our government won't slip it right by us the moment our vigilance flags. Let's not let that happen on our watch. Thanks as always for clicking into this week's episode of the Blogs4Borders video Blogburst. We close this week with a quote from Mark Twain. "The government is merely a servant, merely a temporary servant. It cannot be its prerogative to determine what is right and what is wrong, and decide who is a patriot and who isn't. Its function is to obey orders, not originate them."